hunt hungry.
Feed trees afternoon only for you?
Yes, but I'll say this. Yes, if it's a singular type tree situation. And that's another thing that I wanted to talk about that I think people get caught up in. It's been beat into their brain because we've had all these podcasts on finding that hot tree. A lot of times it can be a bunch of trees, but they're still dropping acorns, and that's a feeding area. You kind of look at it like it's almost like a food plot situation, or say a bean field or whatever. Then that's when I start kind of wanting to back off and look for terrain features that might funnel them in there. But now in that situation, let's just say you got a big oak flat, and you go in there and scout, and say it's November, and there's a lot of sign in there. There's feed sign, there's rubs, there's some scrapes. There's definitely deer sign in there. Well, if you wanted to try to hunt that in the morning, you would want to try to back off and find, say, maybe there's a funnel leading to it, some kind of travel corridor or whatever, and you could set up. But as far as you finding a couple of trees that have a ton of deer sign under them, and you walking in there in the morning before daylight, 9 times out of 10 you're going to run them off, because they like to bed under them trees. They'll literally bed right there under them. So it's evenings usually on a singular type situation, a singular tree.
Okay. That's how would you approach a tree or a group of trees? Like if you're going to hunt it, are you getting, I know me and you Scentlok guys, we're not necessarily worried about the wind too much, but are you like on the downwind side of it, 40 yards away?
Yeah.
How do you, are the trail leading to it? How do you approach that?
So in the river bottoms, I typically try to get let's just say it's a fairly open situation, which it is a lot of times in the river bottoms, even if you do have some thicker areas, some buckbrush, whatever it may be. Yes, I like to set up on the downwind side of the tree and it's not just the bucks, the does, any of these deer on public land, they've been hunted. They're not stupid or they'd be dead. They're going to swing in downwind. That is a given. About the only time that's not going to happen is if a buck was chasing a doe and she run by the tree and, she was just running through there, or a yearling or something. But a doe, she's got some age on her, and a buck, they're going to swing in downwind. That's just what they do. And so, you need to it can be hard at times. I mean, because now if you got a physical barrier behind you, like a creek or say a slough or something, you can kind of use that to your advantage, because they're not going, they can't walk in water or walk on water. So you can use that to your advantage. But I'll be honest with you, and that's one of the reasons I'm a big believer in scent control. It just helps. It makes everything a lot easier, because those deer are going to swing downwind, and it's not just a feed tree. They do that in scrapes. They do that on most everything they do. Yeah. So if you can be scent free as possible, you're going to have better success. But yeah, it just depends. You're talking about how far I set up on the tree. I've shot some deer with a recurve over feed trees, and I've shot them with a bunch with a compound. But of course, with a recurve, with me, I'm not a great shot. So, 15 and in, and I like to have them at 10, which I don't hunt with a recurve much, but I do occasionally. But I may sit right up under right there on the edge of the canopy, because I want that real close shot. But with a compound, I'm going to back off of it. There's really no need to get that close. Because I'll tell you another thing you run into when you hunt right there on it like that. They come in there and start feeding, and I know you've seen this. I mean, they'll eat acorns, they'll look up. They'll eat acorns, they'll look up. And you're just asking to get picked. I mean, because you're right there on top of them. So, most people, if they practice any at all with a compound, they can shoot 30 yards pretty good. So, back off a little bit off of it.